Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Clio Talk. My name is Matt,
And I'm RC.
and we have some fan favorites, Sam and Laney, back to talk about the Park Service again. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for having us back.
Thank you. It's totally not like we're recording this.
Shut up.
Okay.
Well, it's been a long week.
It has been a long week. There's been some debate on do they want to rename the airport in Kansas City?
No, let's not rename it. MCI is good.
MCI is good.
Wait, to what?
What would they name it to?
There's
Just pick whatever.
they've been debating like renaming it to literally whatever, but Amelia Earhart, Buck O'Neill,
I saw this like Sly James.
yeah, Mayor Sly James. I've seen Jesse James floated as well.
Wasn't Amelia Earhart from Kansas?
Yes.
I mean, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Naming after some random other Missouri politicians, like former President of the United States Harry Truman.
Get Charles Lindbergh International Airport.
Yeah, you could.
Who's that
Well,
little twink that's in Congress right now?
I don't know. You got to speak up.
I can't think of his name. Who's that little twink that's in Congress right now?
are you talking about Josh Hawley?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
Josh Hawley? No, I mean some people have said Walt Disney because he's from Kansas City, Missouri.
I say you name it after the international airport that also exists in Kansas City and opened up a few weeks ago.
Oh, like Kansas City International Airport?
Yeah, Kansas City International Airport.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
The only other idea I liked was naming it Barbecue.
See, that's a good one too. Yeah.
Barbecue, BCI, Barbecue International Airport.
Anyways, this has been the CleoCast. Thanks for listening. Yeah.
But we're going to take a pretty aggressive gear shift towards talking about true crime because we have two experts to talk about the Park Service and missing hikers.
Experts is a strong word.
Yeah, I listen to true crime podcasts. I am not an expert in true crime.
Well, we're a history podcast, not a true crime podcast. There is a difference.
Yeah.
We were present in the park at the time that these folks went missing. I guess we'll call that expertise.
Exactly. So, I'm going to let Lainey jump into it. Who's the first person you're going to tell us about?
Well, we have two cases we're going to talk about, one in Grand Teton, one in Yellowstone, and then I found the MPS's cold case page, and we're going to go through some of those. So the first one we're going to talk about is the aforementioned one that Sam said that we were present for. So in the summer of 2021, a Jackson resident reported seeing a man named Sean McLaughlin. And if you think you know how to spell Sean, you don't. It's spelled Gaelic, so it's spelled with a C.
So this guy is Irish.
He is from Ireland. He was working in Jackson. And one day he just went hiking up in the mountains and never saw him again.
Just vanished.
We've all had those days.
Right?
Just one of
I mean,
those
when you
days.
when you say
just
you want to
one of
fuck off into the woods and just never return, usually you don't mean it. But
Well,
apparently
different
he
folks,
did.
different strokes.
Yeah. So he was last seen on June 8th. 2021.
I kind of feel bad for joking now. It's kind of
Yeah.
recent.
Yeah, no, this was summer we were there, and he was reported missing on that day. It was the day after that his family said that he didn't check in, and search efforts started immediately. They were searching what is basically a giant area of the park, the Bradley Taggart Lake, up into because they basically saw him at a trailhead and then didn't see him again, so he could have gone anywhere. They had so many people searching for him that some of our friends who were not in law enforcement were able to come join him.
So my crew, the vegetation crew, was out on the search. I know some of my friends in the trail crew actually got to hop on helicopters and got airlifted and dropped into the mountains to do some gridding for him up in the moraines. So yeah, it was a pretty concentrated park-wide effort. Like lots of people came out and volunteered and helped out to try to get this guy found.
Yeah. So they searched for him for about a month, and then the Gabby Petito thing happened, and if you haven't heard about that, it was a whole thing.
Why don't you kind of just assume that people don't know, because I don't know if I know.
So Gabby Petito is a adorable little white girl from Florida who went on a #van life road trip with her boyfriend Turns out the boyfriend is an abusive piece of shit.
Was
an abusive piece of shit. There is a body cam video of them at Arches National Park in
Arches.
Moab, being interviewed by police, and the police basically did everything that they were legally able to do once they noticed that she was being abused by him, which was, actually they went a little bit above and beyond their call of duty, which was telling her, like, hey, why don't we put you in a hotel while your car is being fixed. And then once the car was fixed, she got back in the van. They went up to Grand Teton. He strangled her. He left her in a pile of leaves at Spread Creek. And he went back to Florida. They found her body shortly after he returned. Shortly after he returned to Florida. Basically, he got back to Florida and then reported her missing. And then they found her. They were like, oh, he strangled her to death and then hid her body. And then he went missing. He went off into the swamps in Florida, shot himself in the head. His body disappeared for 3 months. Yada, yada, yada. No one wins. It was a terrible thing.
Yeah,
But
it's a very sad story.
yeah, that whole thing, which was basically a nation, like, everyone around the country was talking about it if you were in true crime. And that brought the attention away from this poor guy.
Yeah, greatly overshadowed Sean's disappearance.
So, a couple months pass. It basically, they basically switched from I can't remember the word from it, like a high intensity search to a lower intensity search, but with the intention to still, we're still going to look out for him. And then the speculation started. About a year passes, and in June of 2022, so he went missing in June of 2021. So in June of 2022, we all wake up to this press release from Grand Teton that says, I'm going to read it because I have it right here. False information in search for missing hiker results in restitution and 5-year ban from Grand Teton National Park. It turns out that a very wealthy woman living in Jackson who thought she was doing, I don't know what she thought she was doing, called in a tip to Grand Teton National Park and said, hey, I saw this guy at Bradley Taggart. I talked to him. He said he was going to go here. And that was the tip. Well, turns out this tip was false. She knew it was false. They did a year's worth of investigating of this tip to find out that she was in fact lying about it. She got a $17,600 fine for calling in this false tip.
Slap on the wrist, really.
Well, yeah, because she's a very wealthy person, so it's like nothing to her. But they found out that her tip caused them to search an area that he was not in, which was the Bradley Taggart area and the canyons behind it. They spent about 532 hours searching this area, and our friends got to search this area.
Yeah, this is actually the area that our friends were airdropped into.
So after this, she also got banned from the park for 5 years, but that doesn't really matter because she moved to Costa Rica anyway. And I'm purposely not saying her name. But, yeah, so in 2022, they resumed the search in the area that was not the area that they searched. But after you go through a Grand Teton winter, it's kind of hard to find a body. We also have some speculation of what we think happened, like actually happened to him and why they weren't able to find him, because they actually found 2 other bodies.
Yeah.
Like, there was one which was a missing person from, like, the 80s. Mm-hmm. And then there was another one, I can't remember the other one. I think another missing person from, like, the 80s or 90s that they found when they were searching for this dude. So if his body had been up there, they probably would have found it.
Well, that's kind of cool.
They're just looking for bones at this point, basically, right?
Yeah, after like the first couple weeks passed, it essentially becomes not a rescue mission, but like a body recovery mission.
Yeah, and scavengers are pretty good at cleaning bones up there. So even after a couple months, it probably would have been.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
That is I guess why you hike with a buddy or something.
Yes.
I don't like.
Yeah,
at the end of the episode,
yeah.
we're gonna give our ranger tips for how to not go missing in a national park.
Yeah.
I just say I do appreciate that there's still places that are wild enough in the United States that you can like die to nature.
Yes.
I do. I do love that.
It
aspect of
died in
adventure.
nature, and then they do a search for your body.
they'll
Don't
just
find
never
it,
find
and then
it.
30 years later, they find your corpse looking for a different body,
Yes.
Yeah.
and that corpse is just bones, which I'm sure that's dental records.
Yeah.
I do.
Identify
Yeah.
them.
This is why we gotta preserve our parks. It's the last places for us to be reminded that we are animals.
And that is why you go to the dentist, so you can update a dental record in
Also
case they
fair.
get lost.
Exactly.
True.
Do you guys want to hear what we think happened to him?
Oh, go ahead.
Sure.
Okay,
enlighten
so
us.
my tattoo artist.
This is all speculation.
This is
zone.
we're
This
gonna
is-
start by saying this is all entirely speculation.
This is not public record.
And
This
this
is like
is-
all of our personal
yeah, it's
opinion
all-
slash
yeah.
We
hearsay.
have entered the
So-
speculation zone.
Yeah.
So my tattoo artist was telling me, she's a big hunter, and she was telling me that one of her friends who is a big hiker and hikes a lot in the park was in that area around the same time that he went missing and saw a mountain lion. So what I personally think happened is that mountain lions do this thing called caching, C-A-C-H-E, and it's basically where they find food. They don't want to share the food with anything else, so they hide it. So they'll shove it under a rock, they'll bury it under leaves, and it is very hard to find a mountain lion cache unless you know what you're looking for. So my personal opinion is that this mountain lion found him and was like, cool, this is my food. I'm not hiding it from anyone. And with all those giant rocks out there, he probably won't be able to find it unless you start looking under rocks.
To add to that, it was pretty unlikely that he was stalked and killed by a mountain lion. The prevailing theory around Jackson Bars is that this guy was diagnosed with like a terminal form of brain cancer, allegedly, and rather than go through the treatment process and watch your body degrade or whatever the fuck happens with brain cancer, he just chose to go up into the mountains and just die from exposure, basically. And then link to, what you just said, like the mountain lion probably finding his corpse or near dying corpse and then caching it.
Yeah. He left all of his belongings in his car. So, his car
he
was
took
left at the
nothing with
trailhead,
him.
and he had nothing with him. So, he either...
Any hiker worth their salt is not going to go up into the Teton Range without
Especially,
water, food, rain gear, anything like that.
He lived there, so he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a pretty solid theory.
Yeah.
So that it was a suicide, speculation suicide.
Speculation
Yeah,
suicide.
yeah.
Suicide and then corpse hiding by mountain lion is our speculation.
Okay.
The other, my crazy theory is that he decided he wanted to change his life, and something that has actually happened before there, which would be another full episode, or there's other podcasts that I can recommend that have done fantastic coverages of this, is a dude who murdered his entire family, ran off into the woods as if he was going to go live in the trees, and then just hitchhiked and then changed his name.
Oh, I did hear a story about something like that where one guy was living on the Appalachian Trail for years.
Fuck the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, living off of a trail name.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And cycling in and out, and eventually, one trail hiker watched some documentary about cold cases, and his face popped up. Like, wait, I know that
Yep.
guy. That's this insert weird hippie name from a trailhead I met
Yeah.
once.
Did you see the guy also, because the Appalachian Trail is haunted as hell? Did you see the
Allegedly.
guy? Did you see the guy who lived in a camp, and he was living away from society for 20 years, but he was actually just stealing shit out of people's houses. He was just living by himself off in the woods. I'll see if I can find it. It's a great article by
That one's
Forbes.
bizarre.
Yeah.
That and the Pacific Crest Trail are two things that are just they seem so cool, but also so extremely terrifying. Mainly the Appalachian Trail, because those mountains are old, and
Yeah,
you don't.
Those are old, ancient mountains. They're much older than the Rockies.
Yeah.
There's just something about those mountains that are
I
a little
just
bit
like-
weirder.
They're older than bones.
I like the preservation of mystery, smartphones and all that. Everybody's got a camera. I just like that there's places that you can get lost in, and there's places where it's weird stuff happens that nobody knows about, like cryptids and stuff. We need to keep making cryptids. It's cool. I like mysteries.
Yeah, cryptids on the Appalachian Trail. You can
Yes.
meet Mothman.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't
God, I wish I could meet
I don't
Mothman.
think that's in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I don't think the Appalachian Trail runs through there.
It doesn't?
I
Dang.
don't think so.
Let's just say it does because it's our podcast.
Okay.
Well,
we'll get it here.
maybe Mothman migrates.
Mothman.
Yeah, Mothman flies. He migrates towards the light.
So the fun fact, the prevailing theory behind the Mothman sightings was that it was just like a barn owl, and because people see weird shit in the dark, because you're don't look at me like that, Lainey.
A barn owl that just happened to appear near bridges that were about to go down every time.
Whatever.
Skeptic versus believer.
Wow, do owls live in structures? And then maybe the owl knows. Maybe the owl knows.
Was it
and
living on a
leaves.
bridge?
I don't know.
You think the owl knows when the bridge is going to collapse?
Yeah, it probably makes
a
a sound.
No, it's Mothman.
Oh my god.
But yet,
Mothman ate my entire ass at a Denny's.
but yeah, the preserving of mystery and like how we living like basically on the cusp of like the Great West as like the last kind of like condensed city, yeah, as Kansas City. If you look at the map, anything west, there's a large gap, and there's Denver, and then there's basically like
It's
a bunch
the
of
Rockies.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basin and range until you get to California.
and then Salt Lake City full of but Salt Lake City probably shouldn't exist, but
That's what I'm saying. If you pull up to the Donner Pass, they should give you a cart and wagon and be like, "Nah, this is the only way. Cars are banned.
Man,
You gotta go, man."
I remember
Commit to
seeing
the bit.
Yeah.
that post a few weeks ago from California Highway Patrol warning people not to try and cross Donner Pass because it was too snowed in.
It's snowed in.
Have you seen the pictures of California's getting destroyed by snow this
Yeah.
year? They're just like, yeah, we've got 15 feet of snow, and you see like the top of their house, and then another 10 feet of snow. Up
It's
above
like
their
it's like the
house.
atmospheric river, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
something like that,
The
'cause-
drought's over, I think. Right? It's got to be close.
I hope so. I've seen the satellite pictures of both the like San Francisco Bay Area and then also like the Los Angeles basin, basically, and it seems like completely like rejuvenated.
Yeah.
The satellite images.
TBD, there was already an 8-acre wildfire in Colorado recently.
Oh.
So we'll see how long this wet spell lasts.
Yeah, climate change is a hell of a drug.
I smoked that shit.
Yeah. Anyway, do you have any other
I do.
adventures into true crime?
This is a really uplifting episode.
Yeah. Do you want to be really scared of the nothing?
Well, to move a little away from Grand Teton and up to the another wild place, Yellowstone National Park. So the title of this article reads, quote, "Missing Montana hiker found dead near Yellowstone after apparent encounter with a grizzly bear, authorities say," end quotes. So in case you were living under a rock and just generally not aware of this, there is a sizable grizzly bear population in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, which includes basically northwestern Wyoming, Yellowstone National Park, and Grand Teton. So I'll read a little bit of this article. A missing hiker was found apparently mauled to death by a grizzly in the Montana wilderness, authorities announced Saturday. This gentleman, who had been missing since setting out for a hike, possibly in search of antler sheds.
And this was this time last year, by the way. This is
Yeah,
March of
March of last
2022.
year.
So it couldn't have been the cocaine bear.
No. Cocaine bear, the actual cocaine bear, did not live a very long life after getting into all that cocaine.
Oh,
It kind of died of an OD.
well,
It's just one of those days.
yeah, you know,
You know.
any given Sunday, man.
So this guy kind of did everything, everything right. The sheriff's office was notified of an overdue hiker when his friend returned to the car after they became separated. Our dog, who was in the studio with us, just ripped a huge fart. Like, that's why.
I'm gonna open up the window.
Probably picked up on the mic, honestly.
Like that was powerful.
Okay, I'm gonna open up the window a bit more.
Anyway,
Yeah, that got me
she
good.
looks so proud of herself too.
Yeah, she feels very, very relieved right now. Anyway, so yeah, this was near Livingston, Montana, so not in Yellowstone, where it is illegal to shed hunt. So
What is shed hunting?
So deer and other things that have antlers, so like moose and stuff, naturally, like they go through yearly cycles where they grow and then lose their antlers. So they'll grow like a new pair every year. So around this time of year, they will lose their antlers. And there's a great video of I think it's a moose losing its antlers, and it just like violently shakes its head, and they just like pop right off and go flying. But antlers are worth a fuck ton of money. Like, it's like $80 a pound or something crazy like that.
Ridiculous.
So you can get like
these are elk and moose antlers, so you're probably not going to get that much out of
deer.
like white-tailed deer antlers around here.
Yeah, but like out there, you can get like a pretty good price. So people will go out and they will they'll shed hunt and just like load up their packs with like tons of antlers.
Yeah, they're walking
and then
out
go
with
back
a literal
and sell
mountain of
them.
antlers.
And so you have to go out pretty far to find them usually, because the ones in like the more front country area are going to get picked pretty clean. So you usually have to hike pretty far back to find them.
But yeah, basically in Wyoming, Montana, or Idaho, you're in grizzly bear country. And so since this guy was kind of hiking out in the woods in March, that's when grizzly bears tend to come out of hibernation, and they are fucking starving when they wake up. So it is rare for grizzly bears to attack humans. There's at least 8 people that have been killed by grizzlies in the Yellowstone region since 2010, which is a pretty small number.
Now, only 8 since
only
2010.
8 since 2010.
How many people died of geysers?
We had...
There's one I can picture, like...
Yeah, there was...
Did you see it?
No, just imagine a foot in a pool. That's what happened last summer.
Yeah.
They just found a foot in one of the pools, and they were like, what does this mean? And then they literally concluded that investigation, like, this year, like, a couple weeks ago, where they were like, they figured out who the guy was. He just left in the middle of the night. They think he slipped off and just fell, and then everything was gone but his foot.
Yep, just dissolved.
There's
also the
that
guy
will also be a later episode.
whose dog, who was walking his dog off leash on the boardwalks near Old Faithful. His dog jumped into like a thermal pool. He jumped in after it to get it out, and he died like a couple hours later.
A preview for a later episode. That one was 2 weeks later.
Oh,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
So, spoiler alert, if you're in a national park with your dogs, keep them on a fucking leash.
Well, I think
you're a piece of shit if you
no.
walk your dogs off
That
leash.
guy was the reason why dogs are no longer allowed on boardwalks in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Why don't they put up guardrails?
You know?
Because you wouldn't be able to see the pools through the guardrails, and they try to do... Believe it or not, they do actually try to restrict as little as possible for people. They only do as much as they can to like make it so people don't hurt themselves.
They really trust people.
They do.
Too much so, yes.
I mean, it's like, it is your public land. Like, it is your, everyone's public land. So we're going to do our best to make it as accessible as possible. But then, like, there are certain places where, like, yeah, maybe don't step into the boiling water that's 280 degrees.
Maybe
your skin won't be on when you get out.
Yeah,
and you
maybe
probably won't
heed the
survive.
warning signs that are all over Yellowstone, warning you about these thermal areas and fragile ground.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be swallowed into the depths of the earth by boiling
You
hot
can also
water.
just
I
be,
really
like,
don't want that.
Walking in the backcountry in Yellowstone and just fall through the crust, because there are some areas where the crust is thin that they just don't know about. That's why I don't hike in Yellowstone.
Oh, okay. Like before talking to you guys, I was like, "Wow, the world's your oyster out there in the parks." But now I don't want to go.
I mean, it still
Fear
is.
them.
It still is. But be smart about it.
Have a healthy fear and do your research.
So what should I do if I'm going to go hiking in a national park to make sure that I, one, don't die, and two, if I do die or go missing, that they're able to know that I've gone missing and somehow mount a rescue operation?
So number one rule is when you go hiking, you need to make yourself a itinerary, and then you give the itinerary to the park and also to a friend. And part of that itinerary should include check-ins. So you'll say, every 3 days, I'm going to be in a place that has cell phone service, and I'm going to call and check in. And so for the guy who got mauled by the grizzly bear,
Did we ever finish that?
Did we?
I feel like we got sidetracked and we never
We
actually...
did kind of get sidetracked. I mean, yeah, he's dead. Like, a grizzly bear fucking got him.
Yeah.
Like he left behind like a wife and
Okay.
kids.
I thought grizzly bears just ate like berries and fish and stuff.
Yeah, but imagine not eating for 6 months and then coming out and seeing just like a meat bag walking around.
So
you'd be like, oh shit.
You see this hunk of meat bent over, scrounging the fucking dead bones of some other animal, and you're a giant ass hungry bear, and you know that you can charge at what, 30 miles per
30
hour?
miles per hour.
30
yes.
miles per hour, and basically that this bag of meat has 3 seconds to react.
Huh.
So
And you haven't eaten for 6 months.
Yeah, I would prefer to not do
you
that.
haven't
Yeah.
eaten for 6 months. This
Yeah.
was a ravenous bear.
So usually the only like deaths that occur from grizzly bears are either their mom protecting their cubs, the bear is sick, or the bear is like this where it's like starving, like
Or protecting a kill.
or protecting a kill. Yeah.
We
That one.
actually did have a hunter die one year. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, that was a big one
That was
because
pretty
that was like a classic example of guns don't work, bear spray does. Because the guy tried shooting at the bear first, and when that didn't work, then he tried bear spray. But he tried bear spray while the bear was already on him, and that did not work. So he ended up getting mauled by the bear.
Did he die?
Oh yeah.
So the whole story is it was a hunting guide who died. He was taking a client out.
A
Hunting
client and his whole family.
and his whole family.
Oh.
I thought it was just a client. Okay. Well, anyways, they got an elk, tracked it. I think it got dark, so they came back the next day. Well, a grizzly had come in and claimed it. So while they were starting to dress it, the bear charges out.
So
And-
so the group of like 5 or 6 people went. They took down this elk, so the elk was dead. They were like, "Oh, it's too late in the day. We'll just come back and get it tomorrow."
Mhm.
The next day, the rest of the family went back to Florida, and so it was just the guide and one guy.
Yeah,
so it
and
was just 2 guys. Where there was another tip for you to interject that: hike in groups. Don't
Yes.
hike by yourself in grizzly country. Hike in groups of at least 2. No one has ever been of a group of 2 or more. So like groups of 3 have never been attacked by bears.
Yeah.
Continue.
Anyways, the bear charges them, gets on top of the hunting guide. The client, he like shoots the gun.
He they
He
had
shoots the
they
gun
had-
and then throws it at the guy
Yeah,
as
they
he's being
had-
mauled, and then runs.
They had hung the guns up on a tree while they were dressing this elk. Didn't know that the bear had claimed the elk, and so the hunting guide was dressing the elk without any gun or bear spray or anything like that. The bear comes out, pounces on him. The dude says, "Hey, throw me something. Shoot the bear. Bear spray it, something like that." The guy grabs the gun, throws it at him, fucking takes off.
Runs.
So the guy obviously survives. He literally the next day after this happened flew back to Florida.
Did he catch any charges?
No,
I don't think so.
because he technically did not do anything. Morally, he did everything wrong.
Yeah, he fucked
Legally,
up.
he didn't do anything wrong.
Florida man
Yes.
Florida man
man,
lets
yeah.
a Wyoming.
throws a
They-
gun at him.
The bear did have bear spray deployed on it, but it was at a close range, it looked like. Bear spray doesn't work at close range, because by that point the bear usually, you have to get it before the bear gets so much adrenaline that it can fight through it.
Yeah.
But when you get a bear as it's charging at you, it'll deter the bear. Guns will just make it make the adrenaline spike in the bear, and it won't. You can shoot a bear in the face with a gun, and it'll still maul you to death before it dies.
Yeah, you have to have eagle eye precision and heavy enough rounds
Yeah.
to clock a bear through the eye socket into its brain in the 3 seconds that it takes to get to charge you.
The Revenant is an excellent example of this, actually, where the dude shoots the bear with a shotgun 3 times, and the bear still mauls the shit out of him and then dies. So that's an excellent example of why bear spray works better, because usually the bear and the person survive. So,
Bears are cool.
yes,
No.
they are.
Fucking cool.
Yes, they are.
Bears are like the hippos of North America.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, to go back to your how do
Oh,
I
yeah, the
survive?
itinerary, yeah.
So
Trying to keep
make
us
an
somewhat on
itinerary,
trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Keep an itinerary, give the itinerary to someone. Never hike if no one knows where you're going, and then stick to your itinerary. Because if it's, 8 days and you were supposed to be there for 6, and the park is like, okay, well, we haven't heard from this person, we're going to go try to find them. where should they go? They'll follow your itinerary and see if they find you there. Next one, this one doesn't always happen, but don't hike alone if you can. Some people love hiking alone, and if you do, just make sure that you have
Make sure someone knows where you're going.
Someone knows you're going. Make sure you have a GPS, like a Garmin or something like that, where they can ping it and figure out where you are if you go missing. Or what are those avalanche things called?
Beacons?
Yeah, or a beacon. Because if you fall and hurt yourself, you can activate the beacon and it'll basically call the closest EMS and say, hey, this person activated their beacon. They're hurt here. The really expensive ones, you can actually talk to them through.
Oh.
There's a flight watch like that where you can I don't remember what company makes it, but it's for pilots where there's a little GPS thing and you just yank it off your watch.
Saw that in an episode of Top Gear, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had to go rescue Hammond in the middle of Canada.
Yeah.
And in the show he dies. They don't find him in time, but he didn't actually die. But yeah, it's got 3 days of electricity or something. It's pretty cool.
Nice. And then bear spray, if you're in bear country, is the big one. Bear spray, have multiple if you need to. It has 5 seconds of spray. Learn how to use it correctly. Always have it on your hip. I don't know how many people I was like, hey, maybe you shouldn't have the bear spray in your backpack. Maybe you should have it on your hip. It's not really going to help you if it's in your backpack. And they're just like, okay, and kept hiking.
So why does bear spray work better than a 44 Magnum?
We went into that. It's because
Well, they mentioned the bear doesn't die, but why would the bear spray stop it when the gun wouldn't?
So bear spray is super concentrated pepper spray, basically.
Yeah. So it blinds them, it enters their airway through their nose and mouth and basically stops them in their tracks and makes them be more focused on themselves. So basically what happens is it'll flood all their orifices in their face. And have either of you been pepper sprayed?
Yes.
It's like that, but killed a cop on January 6th.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it's really, really, really concentrated.
So bears have an excellent sense of smell.
Yeah.
So what you do when you deploy bear spray, you don't aim at the bear, you aim at the ground in front of the bear for what it's worth when the bear is charging you. And it will create a big cloud that the bear will then run through, its nostrils open, mouth open, eyes open, catch all that shit, and be stopped in its tracks.
And
Ideally.
It'll just run off into the woods and it'll start scraping at itself, trying to fix itself. The bear will be fine after a couple weeks. The gun causes the bear to have an adrenaline spike, like I said, which basically makes it invincible. It'll still bleed out eventually, but it will be able to maul you to death before it bleeds out.
That
So you
makes
either have
sense.
to have perfect aim when a 2-ton chunk of fur is running at you. I've had this argument with so many people where they're just like, you just have to have a strong enough gun. And I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You just have to have perfect aim when a giant bear is charging you. Because they can run at 30 miles per hour. You think you're going to be able to aim and shoot it either perfectly in the heart or perfectly through the eye in that time? Unless you're a Navy SEAL, I doubt it.
I think my BAR could stop it.
Well, actually, there is one really good use for a gun in a bear encounter. So, when the bear is charging at you, you take the gun and just fucking kill yourself before the bear can get you. Because at least that way, it'll be quick and painless.
Yeah, that's probably going to ding us.
Dang. So,
I knew what he was going to say.
I realized, too. Got
after,
that look in his eyes.
after you drive off the bear, it's not coming back to you after that. No.
Ideally,
okay.
no.
You should get the fuck out of wherever
you-
you were.
You're going to be impacted by that bear spray, too, because it's
Yeah.
affected by the wind. So, yeah, it's
So
best to
better
get...
hope you're not downwind of it.
Yeah, it's best to get the fuck out.
So you're gonna hold bear spray number 2 to keep on the other side of your hip, have that loaded, and then be booking it.
Yes.
Okay.
I do know a person.
This is Commander Bear Spray.
Yeah, I do actually know a guy who was hiking by himself off trail somewhere. It was in Moran Canyon or something like that. One of the ones that you can't get to unless you're a crazy person. And he was hiking up there and he told us, I don't know if this was true or not, but he told us he had 6 grizzlies approach him and 1 bear spray. And I don't remember how he said he got out of there, but he was like, yeah, there were literally 6 grizzlies coming at me, and I had 1 bear spray, and I think he might have sprayed one of them and then just fucking... And also never run away from a bear. It activates their predator-prey response, and they will think that you are prey, and they'll chase after you. If you've ever had, like, an Aussie or a Border Collie or something, they do the same thing, where when you run with them, they'll, like, nip at your ankles because they think you're a cow. But never run away from a bear. We do actually have, like, documented cases where, like, the parents run and the kid just stands there and stares at the bear, and the bear chases the parents and just, like, goes right by the kid who's just standing there like, whoa.
There was also a case in Yellowstone where the parents ran and the bear didn't chase them and got the kid.
Really?
Yeah.
When?
I don't know. It was a while. It wasn't like when we were with the Park Service. I remember reading about
basically that. Just don't.
Just have bear spray and know when to use it.
Just be prepared.
Don't use bear spray on a bear that is not charging at you. We've also had that happen where there was a bear just like sitting in the middle of the trail, like giving itself a bath or something, and a dude just walked up and sprayed it so that it would get off the trail. Don't do that, please. That's just animal cruelty.
Just throw your pocket bleach on top of your pocket ammonia and then run away.
Also, don't use your bear spray on Capitol Police officers.
Yes, also don't do that. Yeah. Also, bear spray is considered a lethal weapon. So, if you get attacked on the Appalachian Trail and you have bear spray on you, you can use it.
Yeah. There was an instance in my first season at Grand Teton where a foreign family, I think they were from China.
Yes, JJ works there.
Oh, yes, yeah. I mean, so they came through, bought a thing of bear spray, and thinking it was like mosquito spray, this dude sprayed down his family with the bear spray.
Yeah, it's
and
not
all to the hospital with like 3rd-degree burn,
burns. Don't spray your kids with it. It's not like bug spray. We had another thing where they also don't let your kids play with it, because we had another thing where the kids were playing with the bear spray in like the back of the van and deployed it.
Also,
and it will literally make your car undrivable for like 2 months. Also, bear spray is sensitive to heat.
So don't keep it in a hot car.
Yeah, don't keep it in a hot car. Yeah, it literally will become a projectile and destroy. Like, people will put it on their dashboard, and it'll become a projectile.
We had a friend.
I had a friend once keep one of those like air conditioning like refueler thing, like R34, but he kept it in his back windshield, and it was and the back windshield was facing the sun, and it was like really hot September day, and he was like not by his car at all, but like his roommate just heard an explosion and saw that like he had lost basically the entire back windshield, part of like the trim, and like a little bit of his trunk to this like condensed can just exploding.
Jeez.
And then he got the motorcycle, right?
Then he got the motorcycle, had the motorcycle for 2 weeks, and then got T-boned by a car, nearly died, destroyed part of his leg, and now hates all vehicles.
All right.
I don't think he listens to this podcast, so we're good.
And if you do, I mean, you just text me, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it'll make your car undrivable if it deploys in your car. You'll have to like drive with your head out the window. That happens.
That's what we call expert mode.
Yeah.
Basically, bear spray is dangerous, but bears are even more dangerous.
Yes. So if any of this is making you nervous, just don't go to Grand Teton.
Or if you're going, I should, from what you guys said, basically have a written out plan and maybe a map highlighted, or like my all trails plan.
Yes.
That's another thing.
Give it to the rangers.
Know your plan, know the area, know which trails you want to go on and where they lead. Go out there prepared. Bring plenty of water. Bring some snacks. Have good footwear. Fuck off with the flip-flops.
Don't show up and ask the rangers to plan your hike for you. Have it planned. I have friends who did the Crest Trail who planned it like a year in advance.
Yeah.
And then there are people who just show up and they're like, I'm thinking about doing the Crest Trail. What do you think I should do? And I'm like, not do it this weekend if you haven't planned it.
Yeah, like check the weather ahead of time. Like, basically your safety is your responsibility. So either rise up and take the responsible choice, or just fucking die.
So it sounds like there is an issue with some casual vacationers thinking they can do more than what they can.
I was in the middle of a 17-mile hike, and there were some, I'm going to call them tourists because they weren't even hikers, flip-flops, plastic water bottle that was already completely drank and flattened down that they're just holding in their hand, no backpack with any extra water, extra snacks or anything like that, and like a toddler with them. And they're like, how much farther is it to Lake Solitude? And I'm like, you got a good 10 miles left.
Yeah, you're fucked.
And they're just like, I don't think I'm going to do that today. And it's like, yeah, no shit. You're not going to be able to walk for a month if you do.
How far did they make it?
I
This
think
was in Cascade?
it was in Cascade Canyon, so they probably made it about 4 miles.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the worst elevation gain is the first, like, half mile. So they made it through, like, the worst part. It's just the rest of it. It's you're walking for 17 miles. So, yeah.
Yeah, remember, whatever you walk in, you gotta walk back out.
Yeah. You may make it to the beautiful view, but then you have to get out on your own power. And no matter how bad your feet hurt, your feet are getting you back out.
Speaking of that, that reminds me, we were in Philmont, right? Because I think we talked about this last time I went to Philmont. And we were walking, you know, big backpacks on, whatever, trekking. I think it was like a 10-mile day to the next camp. And we're just kind of like eating like lunch, I think, just stopped somewhere. And this guy just comes like running up and he's like, hey. And we're like, hey. He's like, which way to, and he says the camp we're going to. And we're like, oh, that way. And he's like, okay, thanks. And he just runs past. He was like
Trail
Like a
runner?
trail runner.
he was like a ranger or something.
Oh.
He worked at the camp, and he's like, yeah, I just I work at this one. I just had to go to this one to meet my friend because we're gonna go out. And it's like, okay. So he just like casually ran 10 miles, no water, no backpack.
I know some people.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of trail runners.
He made it.
Tons.
He made it.
Yeah.
We checked up on him when we made it to the camp, and he made it like 4 hours before us.
Yeah, 'cause he
It's like,
probably
okay.
trail ran.
Yeah,
Trail
Yeah.
runners are crazy.
my old boss was a trail runner, yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. I would trip and die.
Yeah, or I would get eaten by a bear. Maybe on purpose.
I don't think there are bears in film. I think there's like black bears, like
yeah,
tiny ones.
mountain lions too.
Yeah, mountain lions. Those are the
Yeah.
ones.
Does bear spray work on mountain lions?
No. Oh, okay. It does work on mountain lions. It doesn't work on moose.
Okay.
Moose are the most dangerous animal in Grand Teton National.
So we've been talking of grizzly bears this whole time. We haven't even fucking touched moose, which are 10 times more scary.
I don't think
than
you wanna
grizzly
touch
bears.
moose.
Nothing
right?
works on moose except for the only thing I've ever seen take down a moose is a Ford F-150, and the Ford F-150 got fucked up.
I've seen a video. I've seen a video of that truck hitting the moose, and it does a flip,
That video-
and then
God,
stands
take
up and runs off.
Holy shit, that video sends me to another fucking dimension. I
No,
love that
so this
video.
was broad fucking daylight. Also, motherfuckers, if you're going... Sorry, I'm getting really aggressive, but
Yeah,
this one pisses me off. If you're
okay.
going to a national park, don't text and drive, please, because you're going to kill native wildlife. This person was texting and driving in their Ford F-150, 10 o'clock in the morning, so it was
Yeah.
daylight, the sun was out, hits a bull moose on the highway so hard that her truck shattered, the moose's antlers shattered, and it shut down the highway for like 20 minutes. Don't text and drive in a national park. The animals live there. You don't.
Okay. When you say highway, do you mean like interstate, or do you mean like 2-lane like road?
2-lane road.
Okay,
It's
I was just-
Highway 80.
I was just imagining like a moose standing on the middle of I-35 for some reason.
it was in
Two-lane
a,
road at like 55
it was in
miles
a
an hour.
Okay.
no. It was the Grovant Circle, so it was in a 35 mile an hour zone.
It was
She
in-
hit it.
Oh.
She hit it hard enough to shatter its antlers and
Yeesh.
to destroy her car. Yeah.
Wow.
Dumb bitch.
Yeah. I'm glad her truck was totaled. Let's put it that way.
That's good.
Man. God, I'm now more scared of the forest than I
Well,
was
don't
before.
be. Don't be. You just got to be smart about it and do research. That's the
Yeah.
biggest problem we have.
Well, how many bears have we seen in Grand Teton? Like hiking.
I have seen.
I've come across bears maybe 3 or 4 times.
I saw one in Cascade Canyon this summer, but it was like a juvenile grizzly. And then we saw that black bear and her cub. I've seen a lot of I've
at
seen
that
way more
canyon.
black bears than I've seen grizzly bears. Grizzly bears, unless they're like the $3.99 and her kin. grizzly bears kind of try to avoid humans. Black bears you see all the fucking time.
for
But I
all-
could beat the shit out of them.
No, you could not.
Yes, you could. You could take a black bear.
That huge black bear that
Yeah.
crossed the trail. No, you can't.
Now, in Grand Teton, are there any locations that are like basically the most wilderness? Like it's almost impossible to get there, but when you can, it's fantastic. What is that location?
Or do you want to give that up?
I don't know about impossible to get to, because it's the most accessible backcountry I think in the Park Service, because the highway is pretty close to it. Like the backcountry is not more than like a half-day hike anywhere if you are in the park.
For like our backcountry is classified as 200 feet off the road for like park dispatch purposes. So basically, once you get like a half mile away from the road on a trail, you're pretty much in the backcountry.
And Grand Tetons is more accessible because you can get to the mountains in like a couple hours or less. So, I would say
Paintbrush Canyon.
yeah,
Still accessible.
Alaska Basin.
Well, that too. I mean, basically everything back there. But like Paintbrush Canyon is it's like, it's not like a designated trailhead. You don't roll up to the Paintbrush Canyon trailhead. You gotta link in from String Lake.
Yeah, true.
It's like a couple miles back, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people go back there. It's a super cool hike.
The hardest canyon to hike, straight up or straight down.
Yeah.
And that's why I've never done it.
And the other question I had, since we're talking about grizzlies, let's shift gears to another dangerous animal. Wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone at what point?
Wolves are one of the least dangerous animals in Grand Teton.
Well,
You're never gonna see a wolf.
From what I've heard from people like Ted Turner, they are pretty dangerous, and they're going to destroy his livestock.
Okay, so
Well, I heard that Ted Turner is a stupid bitch.
this is a subject that is near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, she
that
cracked her knuckles.
I'm gonna get very I'm gonna try not to get aggressive about it. Okay, so wolves, coyotes, and foxes are the three canid species in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. Foxes are the ones you're most likely to see because they are basically little cats, and they're gonna go up and beg for people, and people are like, oh, it's just a cute little fox, just like I saw in blah, and then they're gonna feed them, and then we have to kill them because they will keep coming back for food. Coyotes are scavengers through and through. They will kill your chickens. They will actually kill your livestock. And they act in a very specific scavenger way where they'll eat stuff like roadkill and stuff like that, and they're opportunistic feeders. So they're the ones that are going to go, oh, hey, look, there's a box full of free chickens. I'm just going to go let myself in and eat them. Foxes will also do that to an extent, but not as much.
Secure your goddamn chickens.
I still love coyotes. People in that part of Wyoming hate coyotes and have told me that they will go out of their way to swerve to kill them on the road. Fuck those people. Wolves are smart. They are apex predators. They are the top of the food chain, and they are the keystone species that holds the Yellowstone ecosystem together. There's a fantastic video that shows all of the changes for the good that happened after wolves were reintroduced to the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. Literally rivers were cleaner, the cascades of it was like a perfect example of how when you put a keystone species back in, it fixes, in quotes, the ecosystem. But the issue that happens out there is that farmers do not understand how to secure or don't want to do it, how to secure their land so that wolves will not come in and kill their livestock. The wolves will not kill their livestock unless they're easy to get to or sick. So that's why wolves are... The argument is always, well, we can control, the elk population better than they can because we're humans and we have brains. But when you go hunting, you're not going to go kill a sick elk. You're not going to go kill the scrawniest elk that you see. You're going to go kill, the big 12-point buck, right? You're going to kill the big one that you can mount on your wall and brag about, yeah, that dude weighed 500 pounds. I'm going to drag him out. Wolves are going to kill the sick and feeble parts of the population. So they're actually going to make the population healthier for the hunters because overall the animals in the herd are going to be stronger. This is where I need to figure out how to not be super aggressive. Farmers are either unwilling to put in the effort or unwilling in general to cooperate with conservation people because the farmers, at least out there, are they're ranchers. They're not farmers. They just have cattle.
Hobby ranchers or real ranchers?
It depends.
Bit of both.
Yeah. Have a specific opinion that they've been told their whole life about wolves. That is untrue, and a lot of them are unwilling to change their minds about that. Because it's easier to just not have wolves, right? Than to, barbed wire your fences and to, put the preventative measures around your land that keep the wolves out. So, a lot of times they tend to, just like I said, just go for we'll just kill them all. Let's just kill them all. We had, a couple years ago, so they usually sell 6 wolf tags in Teton County. And we had a hunter who killed a wolf within the boundary of Grand Teton. And the reason why this person... So they at first they said, well, I didn't know I was in Grand Teton. And then the Grand Teton official said, well, you passed 2 signs saying you were entering the park, so unless you're blind, you knew you were in Grand Teton. And they were like, okay, yeah, you caught me. I just killed it because I knew that the 6 tags wouldn't be filled. And I wanted to make sure as many wolves as possible were killed. It's just cruelty. What it comes down to is it's just cruelty and it's unwilling to cooperate with.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry about that, everyone. We had a slight incident which got out of control, but is now in control again. But I think we were at a good stopping point for the episode. So this has been Cleo Talk. You can go ahead and follow us on Twitter at Cleo History. You can email us at cleohistorypodcast@gmail.com. And you can go ahead and, if you're able to, share and like this, tell your friends, and leave a review if you want to. We're available anywhere you get podcasts. I've been Matt.
I've been RC.
And these are our great guests.
I'm Lainey.
And I've been Sam.
And if you want more National Park Service content, go ahead and let us know. Thank you. Bye.